Welcome. So today we're going to be doing a little bit of Parshas Tzav, and I'm going to talk about Purim. So, we do, this is the Chumash, so we have to do Parshas Tzav. It's a little challenging. Anyway, so I want to say there's plenty to say, but I'm going to, we're going to get into the sugyas, the zvachim, and that's not what you're interested in hearing. But I would like to say a vart that actually I said it when I was a bacher, when I came to Lakewood and we learned zvachim, and I have a vart which I actually like, and I think I'd like to say it over. So the Gemara says in zvachim like this. The Gemara on Daf Mem Hey, Mem Dal Damed Beis, is talking over here, but in Mefaglim El Adov Shnasam Mizbeach Achitzain. Question is pigel, when there is a machshavas pigel, what kind of things is pigel? So Amar Rav, Halachik Rabbi Loza Shama Mishra Rabbi Yaisi. Rav paskend like Rabbi Loza B'Shem Rabbi Yaisi. Amar Rav Hilchas Mashiach. Why are you saying halacha? This is Negei Mashiach. Why are we saying halacha? Hilchas Mashiach Lo Yamrinan. So Taisvis asks the kasha that there's Gemara Menachas, that there's a Machlokes Rabbi Yosef and the Stoi and the Rabbanon by Chavita Kohen Gadol. You have to have a Machzisa B'Boker, Machzisa B'Erev. You take it, you divide it in half, and half you make the Kohen Gadol is makriv in the morning, half is makriv in the afternoon. What's with Levina? You need a quart Levina. So do you need a complete quart Levina for each half, or do you split the quart also? That's the machlokes. Rabbi Yosef is and Rabbanan. So Amar Rabbi Yochanan, halacha Rabbi Yosef ben Destoi. So for Taisvis, why is saying halacha Rabbi Yosef ben Destoi? Hilchas l'Mashiach. So Taisvis answers need two things. When do you say Hilchas l'Mashiach le'imrinon? If it's Negei Mashiach's time, and if it's an Isser. So what's the word is an Isser? So the Mefarshim, some Mefarshim say that Losad Lavoi, you're kulam tzaddikim, everybody's going to be a tzaddik. So Memele is not so that's why you don't say Hilchas Mashiach. Because that's why by Isra you don't say Hilchas Mashiach, because people won't be over Yisurim. They're going to be tzaddikim. But the problem is that if that's the pshat, then it's Hilchas Mashiach means Allah is Shangei when Mashiach comes. If they're all going to be tzaddikim and they're not going to do Yisurim, so Allah is never Nageya. So what's pshat to say Hilchas Mashiach? Parshas Hilchas Mashiach is mashma cover lanu halacha hatzricha lanu liyimais HaMashiach. Rashi says that Hilchas Mashiach means a halacha which is going to be needed when Mashiach comes. So according to this pshat that it's not going to be needed, that doesn't stem. But so what's the word? There has to be two things. It has to be Hilchas Mashiach and an Esser. We need pshat in this. Now later on Daf Pezayin, Gemara says like this. The din is that if the Evorim are being burned on the Mizbeach, it's called Aduri Paikin, putting back Evorim that flip off the Mizbeach. They have the Mizbeach is very fatty and there's a lot of crackle and sizzle, and some things just start sputter off, thrown off the Mizbeach. So the din is you have to put them back. So there's a din over here of Chatzais equal, that if the Chatzais is considered deshen, and you don't have to put it back anymore. And Rabbi Yosef says that the Chatzais equal is not only when it's on the Mizbeach, but if it falls off the Mizbeach and Chatzais passes, then Chatzais equal, Chatzais makes that it's already completely consumed, that it's called deshen, and you don't put it back. This is what Rabbi Yosef says. So Gemara says, Hilchas like Rabbi Yosef. The halacha is like Rabbi Yosef. So Taisvis says, what does it mean, Hilchas like Rabbi Yosef? Peter says, Taisvis, Yafa Omar. Hilchas doesn't mean the halacha is like Rabbi Yosef. It means good gesagt. It's very good. As far as a good svara. Why can't it mean halacha? Ve'ezeh psak halacha. Somebody can ask, Hilchas l'Mashiach. It can be halacha, Taisvis says, because Hilchas l'Mashiach lo yamrinon. So it must be Hilchas means he said good. The question is, over here it's not an Isser. It's a procedural question. What do we do? Do you take the Sevarim that fell off Mizbeach and that they're on the bottom by Chatzais? Do you put them back or do you not put them back? The question is what you should do. Why is the Ilchas Mashiach applied to this according to Taisvis and Daf Mem Hey? This is the question. So I wanted to say like this, that Parshas Tzav, second pasuk, so the Gemara Menachos in the Daf Kuf Yud learns that from here, Zois Torah Sa'oila, Kol Aloyim et Hilchas Oila, Ke'ilu Hikri Vayla. When you're learning the Hilchas of Oila, that's considered, with the Shalom Farms Faseinu, this is considered like Akrovas a carbon. So it says, so Hilchas is Nageya. Because if we by our limud, we are being makriv the carbon, let's say chavita kohen gadol. Through our limud, we're makayim the chavita kohen gadol. So we need to know what the halacha is because we want to be makriv the carbon. Ka so it's not halachas Mashiach, it's halacha that's nageya now. So that's what Taisus says. If it involves an isser, so it's not nageya now. Kol aloyim et hilchas pigel is not keilu pigel. Pigel is halacha. If you're mefagel, it becomes possible. What do? That's nageya not now because we have no Beis Hamikdash. That's nageya when Mashiach will come. Right now, what's nageya? Nageya. What do? It's procedure. What do? So what's the pshat in more later by Aduri Paikin when it falls off the Mizbeach? So I wanted to say that in the carbon oila of Kol Olam et Hilchas Oila, Kil Hikri Vayla, the Ivarim do not fall off the Mizbeach. So there's no reason to learn it. They don't fall off. When I'm learning the Hilchas carbon, I'm being makriv of the carbon. It's considered like a makriv of the carbon. But that carbon of Keilu, I'm being makriv of the carbon. No, the Devarim don't fall off the Maracha. So that's only the Geya. And the Mashiach will come. You have to know if it falls off. You put it back or not. Taisa says Hilchas Mashiach Le'amrinon must be Hilchas that it's Yofa Omar. This is what I wanted to say. Okay. Now, one more thing I want to say over here is this next thing they have here. You have all the halachas of shlam. What is a shlamim? So unkelis, if you notice, unkelis is always, he doesn't say shalma. He always says nichsas kutshaya. Even says zevach shlamim or just shlamim. Zevach means nichsas mishchita. So zevach shlamim, the shchita of kutshaya means a chacham, of a chacham. It doesn't call it shlamim. And even if it says just shlamim alone, he calls it nichsas kutshaya. The zevach, the shchita of kodesh. So what does he mean by that? Why does he call it nichsas kutshaya, shlamim? I mean, everything is hegdish. Why does he call shlamim hegdish? Why doesn't he call chatos hegdish? Yeah, someone says that a shlamim is the basic model of a carbon. The basic model of a carbon is a shlamim. You could eat it in all of Yerushalayim. You could eat it for Shnei Yomim. It's a chacham kalim. It is the very lowest model of a carbon is a shlamim. Why is it called a shlamim? Because it makes shalom with the Rebbeinu Shalom. But to define the carbon like chatos defines the carbon, what it's for, and the asham defines the carbon. Shlamim doesn't come for any particular purpose, and it is the basic form of a carbon. So that's what unkelis means. Nichas kutshaya, this means like a no-frills carbon is a shlamim. That's what he's saying. Nichas kutshaya, this is a no-frills carbon. Okay. Now, I'd like to say something about Purim. So first of all, I want to say one thing. I want to talk a little bit about the holy minhag that we have of drinking, which comes from the Gemara. And I know there are different opinions about this, and I would just like to say what my opinion is based on what you see in the Mefarshim. But before that, I want to say something else, which maybe I should have said it last week. I just, it was inserted to me by the Haftarah. So you have the whole story of Amalek, where Shmuel told Shaul that he should exterminate Amalek, wipe it all out, wipe out the whole city, and kill the king and all the animals and everything. And that's what he did. However, he left Agag and some animals, but he left Agag alive overnight until Shmuel came, and Shmuel killed him when he came. But during that night, Agag impregnated a shifcha, and after he was killed, but that shifcha is carrying a fetus, which was the son of Agag, and of course it goes by Goyim, it goes after the father. So that was the son of Agag, and he grew up, and that was so Amalek was not destroyed. Haman came out of this fetus. The question is that if you look in Tanakh, a little bit later, the whole reign of Shaul was Parshas and Psukkah was very short, but even if it was a little bit longer, if
2.5 years.
2.5 years, what the pasuk says, but the Mefarsh, the Bible says it was longer, maybe. Yeah, okay, whatever it is, it was not that long, and very shortly after this episode with Shaul, David ran away from Shaul. He was afraid. He ran away. He was by Achish Melech Gas. He was under his protection, and he lived over there with the Plishtim. And he went out on raiding parties for the Plishtim. So one time he and his group of men, they went out on a raiding party. They lived in a place called Tziklog, and they went out on a party, and they came back, and they found that Amalekim had abducted their families. And there's a pasuk there which says something which I've never seen anywhere else, which is, it says they cried and cried until they couldn't cry anymore, which is like an amazing description of grief. But where did these Amalekim come from? I mean, he killed everybody. All that was left was a fetus. All of a sudden, you have marauders, Amalekim. Where did they come from? So some want to say that Amalekim changed themselves into animals with kishuf, and then they became back into people, and they went out and they abducted the families of David and his men. So even we accept this medrash, but it's very difficult to say that a pasuk in front of us has no meaning unless with that medrash. The pasuk has to stand on its own. The pasuk says that everybody was killed, and then there are Amalekim. The pasuk gives no hint to Kishiv and turning into behemoths. So how could that be the Pshuta Shel Mikra? There's a medrash that says this is what happened. And I'm sure it happened, but that is the explanation for this is kind of difficult to say. So I would like to say Parshas like this: that when Shaul killed the whole city, and if he had killed Agag, all the Amalekim in the world were not home. There were Amalekim that were on business trips. Amalekim were on vacation in Mexico. Amalekim were on raiding parties, and there were Amalekim out in the field. Those Amalekim, if Shaul had done what he was told to do, then all those Amalekim would have been assimilated into other nations, and they would have ceased to exist. There would be nothing. They would just be absorbed into other countries, and there would be no more Amalekim. That means Amalek would have been eradicated. However, if there is a survivor in the royal family, a fetus, a survivor, then all these people could coalesce around this scion of the royal family, and it reconstitutes the nation of Amalek, and Amalek was not destroyed. I think this is Pasha the Pshat. Also okay, I'm not going into that. Anyway, getting to the drinking. So the Gemara says, Chayiv Adam lePsumi b'Puri ad layoda. Person is supposed to drink on Purim until he doesn't know the difference in Or Haman and Baruch Mordechai. So, what is the inyan of Ad Layoda? Is it because of our great joy that we're so happy that we had Yeshua and the Rebbeinu Shalom saved us, and so we drink and we want to be happy. We want to be happy. So this is a shir and simcha. That means so happy that we just don't know the difference. We drink so much we don't know the difference between our Haman and Baruch Mordechai. If that's what it is, so I would think that on the regel, on the Sholosh Regalim, where there's a mitzvah d'oraisa of Simcha, certainly there should be din of Adla Yoda. Why is there a greater share of Simcha on Purim, which is not a d'oraisa, than there is on Sholosh Regalim, which is a d'oraisa? Why is that the share? And also, the Ramah says, so the Ramah says that what you should do really is you should drink a little bit more than you used to, and you should go to sleep. And the Pri Megadim says that's l'chatchila what you should do. So what is this? I mean, so what's the point of this? Is it, you're not jumping or dancing, you're a little bit woozy, and you go to sleep, and with that, Mekayim Adla Yoda. So what is Adla Yoda? What is it? The Bir Halacha brings down from the Eliyahu Rabbi, he says, how could it be that all the Nevi'im were screaming against Shikras, and all of a sudden there's a din of Shikras by Purim? We're not supposed to be Shikr. What's the pshat? So them say Adla Yoda. What's Adla Yoda? Adla Yoda ben Or Hamal Baruch Mordechai. You should know the difference. It doesn't mean Chas v'Shalom that you should think the opposite, that Baruch Haman or Chas v'Chalil the other way. No, it doesn't mean that. There are different pshatim in the Mefarshim. The Taz says it means that you should not be able to decide which is the greater good, the Mapolas HaRasha or the Akomas HaTzadik. What is the better, what is the more chashuva toiva? And other Mefarshim say that there's the gematria of Har Haman. I don't know, I didn't do the math, but I'm taking it on faith that the Har Haman and Baruch Mordechai is the same gematria. So you can't do the gematria and figure out that there's the same gematria for both of them. That's what it means. So what is this? So I want to say, B'kitzur, without getting into all the ramifications, I want to say like this: what is the avoida? What is the avoida of Purim? What is the avoida? What are we supposed to be? No, we have to be hakar satoiv to Rabbeinu Shloim that He saved us. Chol dar v'dar and this dar and matzileinu miyadam. There's not that. Of course, like everything else, that's part of it. But the avodah of Purim, I think, is that to be makir that einoid milavadoi. It's only the Rabbeinu Shloim. Because even over here, so when you have nisim gluyim, so you see the Rabbeinu Shloim. But in Purim, the Rabbeinu Shloim's name doesn't appear in the Megillah. Everything is mechusa. And nevertheless, there was a tremendous hashgacha going on over here. So the hakara is here that no matter what goes on, einoid malavadoi, whatever goes on in the world, there's only the Rabbeinu Shloim, there's nothing else. The Rabbeinu Shloim controls the world, either actively or by, we get into a different discussion of us, which is, the Rambam Pashita and Hashgacha Prata, so different ways of learning. But no matter what, Rabbeinu Shloim is aware of everything, and either he actually says it should happen, or he allows it to happen, but everything that happens b'Ritzayin Hashem, and Einoid Milvadoi, there's no other power in the world than the Rabbeinu Shloim, it's all the Rabbeinu Shloim. The problem with that Hakora, is that each of us is a little Getchkala. We all are little gods. In our world, we run our worlds, we manage and we administrate and we do things and we write and we think and we learn. And so all of us are kind of mini gods. And but I mean to say that is an interference with your ability to be makir that there's only the Rabbeinu Shloim. What do you mean there's only the Rabbeinu Shloim? There's also me. So to be able to overcome the ani, that fact that I am also somebody, to overcome that and come to pure hakara that there's only the Rabbeinu Shloim, in order to do that, you have to fuzz your brain. That means you drink a little bit, just a little bit more than normal, and your brain becomes a little bit fuzzed. So now you cannot do calculations, you can't do mathematical calculations, you can't make value judgments to decide what is better and what is worse. You can't do those things. You just exist. You just exist. And in that existence, you could come to the Hakara that my existence is nothing. There's only the existence of the Rebbeinu Shalom. So that's how I come. That is the avoid of Purim. It has nothing to do with Simcha. So if you drink a little bit more and you go to sleep, so you're closing down your mind, so you're being makir that me doesn't count. You'll be makir that I fuzz my mind, and that the reason why Pri Megadim says that it's preferable is because there's a very fine line when you walk. Because if you drink more and you don't go to sleep, you could step over that line into shikras, and that is certainly not proper. You're not supposed to become shikr, but you should become high to the point where somebody once told me, when one of my endkoch, I was telling him this, so he says to me that the Goyen used to drink up to the point of sakana. He used to drink. Why did he drink so much? So I told him, because the guy was such a genius that it took a ton of alcohol to fuzz his mind. So he kept, he could make all kinds of calculations, even after who knows what. So that's why. But really the idea is not to become shikr. The idea is to come to the hakara of ein oid mulavada. Thank you very much, and the Mitzvah Shem next week we'll meet again.